Hi, my name is Tonya Lewis Taylor, and this is In the Classroom. Today, our guest is Cindy Hsu, an Emmy Award-winning anchor and a reporter that has been at CBS since 1993. Her passion in sharing stories about children, seniors, education, adoption, animals, and mental health awareness is second to none. Cindy has earned an Emmy Award for stories including Smuggled from China, exposing the horrific plights of Chinese refugees trying to make it to America. Her most poignant story was the two-part series, Bringing Rosie Home. Through home videos, she brought viewers to China as she adopted her daughter Rosie as a single mother. When Cindy is not working, she spends most of her time in the community, and she's open about her struggles with depression, hoping to break down the stigma about mental health. Without further ado, we introduce to you Cindy Hsu. Come on, y'all, give it up for Miss Cindy. Awesome, thank you so much for coming. Come on, keep it going. Yeah. So it is so exciting to have you here with this wonderful group of students. Thank you for coming.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to meet everybody.
Yes,
how are you guys doing?
So your journey is an amazing journey. I mean, you born in Hawaii?
Born in Hawaii because my father was in the military. And then we moved every 2 to 4 years. So it was interesting.
How was that, moving, trying to make new friends? And
each place was better than the last. So it was really fun. Only one time being pulled out of high school as a freshman and then going to another school, that was a little hard because, you kind of get in there and then you have to leave.
Absolutely. So I know that you went to Virginia.
Yes.
Tech?
Yes.
Tell me, why did you choose Virginia Tech and what was it that drew you to that school?
Well, I grew up in Virginia. My dad finished his work at the Pentagon, so it's Washington, D.C. So I was pretty much looking at Virginia schools, and Virginia Tech actually was easier to get into because I was not a great student. So I needed to get into a school that I could get into. So that's kind of why.
I got you. Did you know that you wanted to pursue journalism?
No, I wanted to be a military pilot. I wanted to be an Army pilot because my father is a Coast Guard pilot. And you know how all you want to do is make your family proud of you? So I thought, I'll just do what he does. And then I learned 2 years into college that you have to have perfect vision. And they didn't have LASIK back then, so I didnn't have it. And so I had to quick find something else because I'm not going to be a pilot.
Absolutely. Yeah. But then you discovered journalism.
I did. And the way I did that is, I thought of lawyer, doctor, all these different things that all the parents want everyone to be.
Yes.
And I looked at my skills and I thought, lawyer, you have to have a good memory. Don't have that. Doctor, medicine, no. Science, no. But the only thing that was like a natural thing for me was being super curious and asking lots of questions. And so that fit with journalism.
Wow. So tell me about your first story you could remember covering. What was that
Whoa, like? I can tell you the first story in New York was actually a hostage situation.
Oh, wow.
So that was stressful.
Wow, which one was it?
I don't even remember because I've been at Channel 2 for almost 30 years.
Wow,
so
30
that's
years,
way
come
back.
on guys. That's an amazing career, amazing.
Thank you. So I was really nervous, but the camera people I was working with were super nice. And yeah, it was good.
And now you're a master at this work.
I'm a survivor, and I really do enjoy my work.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And you have to enjoy your work, especially when it's a major part of your day. And I think that's what's going to lead us into our conversation about mental health is because many of us don't realize that our mental health is affected by every aspect of our lives, even our jobs. And so how do you deal with mental health issues or your mental health at work?
At work. Well, first of all, I I went through depression 8 years ago. Serious, serious depression. And I didn't know anything about mental health. So, you know, as far as I went through the learning process and all that. And so now I just, I do these little things. Like there's this book I really like, and I keep it next to my bed, and it has really thoughtful quotes. And I'll read one every day, and I'll think about it. And then before I go to bed, do the same thing. I have a journal next to my bed. I call my mom every single day because she was really worried about me during my illness. And it's kind of to let her know that I'm okay, and to, you know, just have, you know, when you go through serious mental illness, it's really important to have a support system. And so she's part of my support system. Yeah.
So what do you think contributed to the crisis that you experienced?
Really stress at work. First of all, I had already been there 20 some years, and you cover, you know, you cover murders, and I was always really saddened by children who were hurt. And so to have to stick a mic in a little kid's face and say, oh, your father died, you know what I mean? That was always very difficult for me. And then also, just the workplace at that time was very stressful. And the management did not lead with kindness back then. My management now does.
Yes.
So it was a lot of kind of nonstop, just actually freaking out before I went to work. I so didn't want to be there, and not knowing what was happening so that's what contributed. Yeah,
and I think many of us work, whether it's work or school, you have to be in a good place, and you have to feel good about going to that place every day in order to protect our mental health. So 19 years ago.
Yes, 19 years ago.
19 years ago, you went to China.
Oh, I was like, what's she talking about?
I know. You went to China.
Yes.
And you adopted a baby girl.
Yes.
Tell me about that journey and that choice that you made.
Well, I always loved kids, and I thought I would do the normal thing, you know, get married, you know, that, have a child, all that. And so that wasn't happening. And I didn't ever feel like, ooh, you know, marriage was not important to me, but the child was. So I think I was 37 at the time that I said, okay, enough of this, and went and adopted my daughter from China. And I don't know if you know, but China had so many girls because, first of all, they had a rule you could only have one child in China.
One child, that's right.
And they value boys there. And so little girls would be just discarded. My daughter was left in a basket in front of a store. And then the orphanages find these children, and a lot were adopted.
Wow. And you developed a program, an Emmy Award-winning program called Bringing Rosie Home.
Yeah, Bringing Rosie Home. So when I went to, you need to travel to the country. They had sent me a picture of the daughter that the Chinese government chose for me. And so when I flew over, my mother came with me, and I did a lot of videotaping just on my own with my camcorder, just to show, you know, to remember the process, because you're so excited that you're going to be a parent and you have never met this child and all that. So I brought a camcorder, and and then when I came back, I put it all together. And that's one of my favorite stories, because I've had a lot of people come up to me afterwards, you know, years later, and say, I was thinking about adopting, but it wasn't until I saw your special that you could actually see the journey that I did it.
Wow.
I'm a huge proponent of adoption. There are so many children who need homes.
Absolutely, absolutely. And to just know that you're making a difference in a child's life that would have been in the orphanage system.
Yeah.
That's huge. So when you were going through your mental health challenges, how was it with Rosie? How did she deal with what was going on with her mom?
I think I'm going to go into what happened, if you don't mind,
please,
so you can understand how serious it was. So I was feeling totally off at work. My little stories that should be so easy to do were really difficult for me to do. I couldn't focus to write all these different things, and I felt no joy in my life. So then I ended up, somebody asked me, are you okay? One of my colleagues, and I said, I'm not. And then I broke down, and I ended up leaving work and had my mother come stay with me, because my daughter was little then. And you know, I did go see a psychiatrist, but sometimes you really have to find the right one for you. And this wasn't necessarily the right one. So I ended up getting worse, and I attempted suicide. And my daughter was actually away at camp at the time. So when she came back, my mom said, Mommy mixed up some medication. So she didn't tell my daughter what the situation was. And the whole time, then I went to a psychiatric hospital. And the whole time I would call her, we didn't have cell phones, but we had like a phone on the wall. I said, Mommy's in a place where I'm getting art therapy and music therapy, and that was true. All these different things that help you recover. But then I asked I'm like, how am I gonna deal with this for Rosie? And I talked to a lot of child psychologists while I was in the hospital, and I said, you know, my little girl, what do I do? And they said, it depends on your relationship with your child. Do you have one where you spill everything out, or you really protect them from everything? And I've always been super honest with Rosie. So I sat her down and I said, you know, when I went away, I actually attempted suicide. And she said, on purpose? And I said, yeah.
Wow.
But the big thing that I had to say is, I have a whole team of people, and their job is to make me better.
Yes.
You know, doctors and all that sort of thing. Your job is to be a kid.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So she actually didn't even, I said, you have any questions? She's like, no.
Wow.
And, you know, I think kids are more resilient than we give them credit.
Absolutely.
And so I felt like if she came to me, and now and then I would say, are you doing okay? Any questions? That sort of thing. So that's really how we dealt with it.
Wow. Do you guys have conversations about it now?
Yes.
Yeah, and about her mental health, because she's a college student. How did you deal with, you speak to Rosie about, how do you speak to her now about mental health?
Well, now she and I are kind of experts, because I've gotten really involved with mental health groups like the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And I've learned so much, and she's learned it along with me. And it's so great because she actually will counsel her friends. I mean, this is a tough age you guys are in, you know?
It is.
And so a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of people in this room, you know, have issues. And so she now is a really good listener. She knows the different things, like if somebody is saying, I want to die, or they're thinking of suicide, you have to take that seriously. You can't just be like, oh, okay, they're going to be better. I'm so nervous to talk to them about it. And one thing I do want to tell you is that sometimes people think if I ask my friend, are you thinking of suicide, that's going to make them want to, you know, attempt suicide. And that's not the case. Science shows that that doesn't happen, that you asking, be very frank and you know, direct is the best way to do it. So that way you really know, and it, you know, sometimes things happen too late, and then you look at the signs and you say, oh, if I only said something or gotten this person help, and help for yourself as well.
Absolutely. And when you were speaking earlier, you said that when I asked you, how did you know that something was going on? And you said, you know, I would cry all the time. I'd be at work. I couldn't focus. What are some of the other signs that we can share with these young people about things about mental health, things that we may not even know that we're all experiencing? Well,
some things, like if there's something you loved. For me, I loved cycling. I loved Soul Cycle, was this exercise thing, and I completely stopped. So whether it's you love basketball or video games or something, and then suddenly you don't want to do it, and you find no joy in what you find now. And the other thing, in my mind, what depression does is it takes your brain and it just completely, it makes you think things that are not true. And so I actually thought that my daughter would be better without me. So that's what depression was telling me. And that's why I attempted suicide, because that's what I thought was true.
Yes.
So yeah, and then also having any thoughts of you're a burden, you know, these
They'll
different
be
things.
better off without me. That type of stuff.
Exactly. There's a lot of signs, but I find you sleep all the time. All you want to do is sleep. You keep the shades closed. You want to just be in the dark. That was something I did a lot. But everyone, it's different for everybody, but a big change in behavior is a big sign. And then again, not finding joy in anything.
Absolutely, absolutely. I absolutely can relate, because I went through mental illness battles in my own life. And it's not something that's easy to talk about, but as you listen to somebody who's so powerful as you are to share your story, you realize, I remember after having my first daughter, just not wanting to do anything, laying in the bed, and they call that postpartum, right?
Right.
But down through the years, even with my own career and the things, my goals and my dreams, and feeling like maybe I haven't done enough or I haven't accomplished enough, and letting that weigh on you. And sometimes you start to experience some of these same behaviors where you don't want to do anything, you don't want to get out of bed, you just want to lay around all day. And when those things happen, you have to snap yourself out of it.
Yep.
You have to find somebody to talk to, and you have to deal with yourself. Not with other people, but deal with what's going on with yourself.
And there are so many organizations that are there to help you. After I got out of the hospital and I was on the road to recovery, I went on the internet and I honestly was Googling suicide, mental health, all these things. And that's how I found the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I found on their website, they have specific videos for kids. They have specific videos on how should you talk to someone if you're worried about them, what should the language be. So I found that so helpful. So that's, one of the things that's my mission, is to hopefully save people. And if you are depressed or bipolar or eating disorders, all these things are mental illnesses. You are not alone. That's the one thing I learned. Once I went public with this, so many people, dear friends who had no idea they had been through anything, would come up and say, me too. So just know that if you think you're the only one suffering from mental illness, that's not the case.
I think one of the takeaways is that mental health is just as important as your physical health, your spiritual health, and we have to guard it. We have to guard our minds, we have to guard our thoughts, we have to guard the people that we have in our circle. We have to guard what we watch on TV, what we listen to, because there are certain things that can drive you into certain thoughts that may not be healthy for you. So I just want to take this time to say thank you.
You're welcome.
To you, Cindy, for sharing your amazing story. You're very brave, you're very courageous.
Thank you.
And I think that your message, and I will even go as far as to say your ministry, is going to help so many people become strong and fearless.
Thank you.
Ding, 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 ding. Guess what time it is, Cindy?
What?
It's lunchtime! So New York City is famous. The New York City school system is famous for their lunches. So if you had a choice, would you choose the school pizza or the peanut butter and jelly?
Oh, pizza.
Okay,
Yeah.
why? Why would you choose?
Because every pizza is good pizza.
Every pizza is good pizza.
It's hard to make a bad pizza.
All right, good. That's excellent. We want to just say thank you to you for coming out to share your story and to impart such wisdom and knowledge to these young people. What are some final thoughts you would like to leave us with? Would you like to leave these students with?
I would say, again, mental illness is just as important as physical illness. If you have cancer, you go get it taken care of. If you have something going on in your brain, you need to take care of it. It can be, you can bottom out like I did, and then you can get help. There's so much help out there, and you can recover, and I'm living my best life right now. So I really hope that is true for all of you. Not only if you're feeling bad, or if your friends are feeling bad, or your family, talk about it. We're breaking the stigma. It shouldn't be a hush-hush issue.
Can we show a lot of love to Miss Cindy? Awesome. We've been talking about mental health, mental illness, and sharing stories of how we can overcome. And I want to take a moment to open up the floor to these amazing students to ask questions and to share some of their thoughts with us. So who's first? Come on up to the mic.
Hello, my name's Golda Garcia. I'm I'm 14. I'm in the 9th grade. And a question that I was conjuring up in my seat when you were talking is, how did generational trauma affect your progress into understanding that you had mental health issues and overcoming it, especially with the Black community, Asian community, and Hispanic community? It could be very hard to even talk about it and then accept it yourself. So what was it like for you?
Great question.
Yeah, it is a great question, because in communities of color, a lot of times the parents don't talk about mental illness. I can tell you in the Asian community, you try so hard not to be a burden. And so it's always, everything's okay, we don't complain, we just work through. So that was difficult, and that's why I knew nothing about mental health. And I was like 50 years old until it hit me with no background in it. And I never told my parents, even when it hit me, I had to get low, rock bottom before I would. So that's why I think communities of color really, really need to focus on breaking the stigma and talking about mental health.
Hi, I'm Mia. I'm 17 and I'm a 12th grader. My question is, even though I know mental health isn't the best thing, do you feel like you needed to go through something in order to live your best life and realize what you had for real?
That's a really good question. I would never wish what I went through on anybody. But now that I've been through it, I am so grateful for all the help I got. I'm so grateful. The suicide was not completed. I'm so grateful to be alive and to be able to, talk to you guys, talk to other people, because it's something that there's so much help for. There's so many doctors that focus just on that. So I wish it hadn't happened, but I think since it has, it's really going to help a lot of people if those who have gone through the experience talk about it openly.
Hi, my name is Franchelli and I'm a 12th grader. And I would like to ask you, dealing with mental health illnesses is like a long-term process, an everyday battle. How do you get through those days where you're not feeling your best and then you're having these negative thoughts and this negative mindset? How do you pull yourself out? And do you ever feel or are afraid of going back into those dark times?
Good question.
That is a really good question. Well, once you go through something like this, it's really important to get professional help. So I have a psychiatrist who, I'm on medication for antidepressant, and I also talk to her, talk therapy as well, which has been really, really important for me. And that's been all these years, and I think I'll be doing that for the rest of my life, because I don't really tell people a lot of things. I'm kind of private. She's the only person that I tell everything, and it's really important to get it out. Hopefully you can find that person in your own lives, but if not, it's really great to talk to a therapist.
This was good. You guys are amazing. Give yourselves a big round of applause.